I was looking at various polls and saw that you're one of the most disliked tech leaders today. 54% unfavorable rating. Elon Musk is 23%. It's basically everybody has a very high unfavorable rating that are tech leaders. Maybe you can help me understand that. Why do you think so many people dislike you? Some even hate you. And how do you regain their trust and support? Given everything you just said, why are you losing the battle in explaining to people what actual impact social media has on society?
Well, I'm curious if that's a US survey or world.
It is US, yeah.
So I think that there's a few dynamics. One is that our brand has been somewhat uniquely challenged in the US compared to other places. It's not that there are, other countries we have issues too, but I think in the US there was this dynamic where if you look at like the net sentiment of kind of coverage or attitude towards us, before 2016, I think that there were probably very few months, if any, where it was negative. And since 2016, I think that there have probably been very few months, if any, that it's been positive.
The politics.
But I think it's a specific thing. And this is very different from other places. So I think in a lot of other countries in the world, the sentiment towards Meta and our services is extremely positive. In the US, we have more challenges. And I think compared to other companies, you can look at certain industries. I think if you look at it from like a partisan perspective, not from like a political perspective, but just kind of culturally, it's like there are people who are probably more left of center and there are people who are more right of center, and there's, kind of blue America and red America. There are certain industries that I think maybe one half of the country has a more positive view towards than another. And I think we're in one of the positions that we're in that I think is really challenging is that because of a lot of the content decisions that we've basically had to arbitrate, and because we're not a partisan company, right? We're not a Democrat company or a Republican company. We're trying to make the best decisions we can to help people connect and help people have as much voice as they can while having some rules because we're running a community. The net effect of that is that we're kind of constantly making decisions that piss off people in both camps. And the effect that I've sort of seen is that when we make a decision that's a controversial one, that's going to upset, say, about half the country, those decisions are all negative sum from a brand perspective, because it's not like if we make that decision in one way and say half the country is happy about that particular decision that we make, they tend to not say, "Oh, sweet, Meta got that one right." They're just like, you didn't mess that one up, right? But their opinion doesn't tend to go up by that much. Whereas the people who kind of are on the other side of it are like, "God, how could you mess that up? Like, how could you possibly think that like that piece of content is okay and should be up and should not be censored?" Or, and so I think whereas if you leave it up and it's or if you take it down, the people who thought it should be taken down, or it's like, all right, fine, great, you didn't mess that one up. Yeah. So our internal assessment of and kind of analytics on our brand are basically anytime one of these big controversial things comes up in society, our brand goes down with half of the country. And then if you just kind of extrapolate that out, it's just been very challenging for us to try to navigate what is a polarizing country in a principled way, where we're not trying to kind of hew to one side or the other. We're trying to do what we think is the right thing. But that's what I think is the right thing for us to do, though. So, that's what we'll try to keep doing.
Just as a human being, how does it feel, though, when you're giving so much of your day-to-day life to try to heal division, to try to do good in the world, as we've talked about, that so many people in the US, the place you call home, have a negative view of you as a leader, as a human being, and the company you love?
Well, it's not great, but look, if I wanted people to think positively about me as a person, I don't know. I'm not sure if you go build a company. I mean, it's like
or a social media company.
I mean,
It seems
I just think,
exceptionally difficult to do with a social media
yeah.
company.
So I mean, I don't know. There is a dynamic where a lot of the other people running these companies, internet companies, have sort of stepped back, and they just do things that are sort of, I don't know, less controversial. And some of it may be that they just get tired over time. But it's so I don't know. I think that running a company is hard. Building something at scale is hard. You only really do it for a long period of time if you really care about what you're doing. And yeah, so I mean, it's not great, but look, I think that at some level, whether 25% of people dislike you or 75% of people dislike you, your experience as a public figure is going to be that there's a lot of people who dislike you, right? So,
Yeah.
so I actually am not sure how different it is. Certainly, we've the country's gotten more polarized, and we in particular have gotten more controversial over the last 5 years or so. But I don't know. I kind of think like as a public figure and leader of one of these enterprises,
Comes with the job.
part of what you do is like, and look, you can't just, the answer can't just be ignore it, right? Because like a huge part of the job is like you need to be getting feedback and internalizing feedback on how you can do better. But I think increasingly what you need to do is be able to figure out, who are the kind of good faith critics who are criticizing you because they're trying to help you do a better job rather than tear you down. And those are the people who I just think you have to cherish and like and listen very closely to the things that they're saying, because I think it's just as dangerous to tune out everyone who says anything negative, and just listen to the people who are kind of positive and support you, as it would be psychologically to pay attention trying to make people who are never going to like you. So I think that's just kind of a dance that people have to do. But I mean, so you kind of develop more of a feel for like who actually is trying to accomplish the same types of things in the world, and who has different ideas about how to do that, and how can I learn from those people? And like, yeah, we get stuff wrong. And when the people whose opinions I respect call me out on getting stuff wrong, that hurts and makes me want to do better. But I think at this point I'm pretty tuned to just, all right, if I know they're kind of like operating in bad faith and they're not really trying to help, then I don't know. It doesn't, I think over time it just doesn't bother you that much.